All right, let's get right into it. We're about to unpack an idea that could completely change how you look at your career, your money, and, well, your future. It all starts by questioning one of the biggest, most fundamental beliefs we have about how to build wealth.
I mean, we've all had this drilled into our heads since we were kids, haven't we? It's the classic formula. Work hard, be patient, and time will do the rest. You know the drill. Get up early, clock in, put in the long hours, stash away a little bit of cash, and just wait. The promise is that after 40 years of grinding, you'll finally hit the jackpot. You'll be wealthy. It's sold to us like it's a law of physics or something.
Yeah, and here's the kicker, the really tough pill to swallow. For a whole lot of people who follow that exact script to the letter, that magical one day, it just never shows up. It stays a dream, always just out of reach. And that, right there, is the heart of the illusion we're going to tear apart in this explainer. The big lie that just waiting around is going to make you rich.
So, to really get this, let's use an analogy. Picture your life as a road. The thing is, most of us, without even knowing it, are on one of two roads, and neither one actually leads to where we want to go. Okay, so here are those two paths. On one side, you've got the live for now road. No real plan, just kind of surviving, chasing the next good time. Money comes in, money goes out. Pretty clear that road doesn't really go anywhere. But look at the other side, the responsible road. This is the one most of us think we're supposed to be on, right? All about discipline, sacrifice, saving, and investing. It totally looks like the smart play, but check out the final destination. It's not wealth, it's maybe.
So let's really dig into this, into the hidden price tag of that so-called responsible path. Because what we're talking about here isn't just about your bank account. It's a plan for your life and what you're paying with. Man, it's so much more precious than just dollars and cents.
Just think about that for a second. Your entire life. I'm talking about your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, all your energy, your youth, your best years. They're all being traded away. And not for a sure thing, not for a guarantee. No. You're trading it all for just a chance at freedom way down the line. You're giving up your actual present for a maybe future.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? This isn't a certainty, not even close. Following the slow wealth playbook, it's a gamble, a massive one. You're basically pushing your entire life into the middle of the poker table and just praying that the cards you get in 40 years are good ones. Look, a strategy gives you some control. It gives you leverage. Hope? Hope is just crossing your fingers and wishing. It's totally passive. And let's be real, when we're talking about your one and only life, hoping for the best just doesn't cut it. It's not a plan.
Okay, right now you might be thinking, hang on, I've got a great job. I make good money. And that's fair. But this is where we have to talk about a really important word, dependency. See, it doesn't matter if your paycheck is 50 grand or $500,000 a year. If the money stops the instant you stop working, you're not wealthy, you're dependent. And that, my friends, is not freedom.
Which brings us to a huge paradox. We're all taught that the safe bet is the traditional career, right? The 9 to 5. And that anything else, starting a business, forging your own path, is super risky. But is it? Let's really pull that idea apart. No, I'm serious. Think about it. How safe is that safe path really? How much control do you actually have? You're completely reliant on one company, one boss, one single paycheck. A whole system that could, and often does, change on a dime.
For this whole 40-year plan to actually work, you're not just making one bet. You're betting that all of this stuff goes perfectly. You're betting the market will be great, that inflation won't eat up all your savings, that your company will actually be loyal to you, that your entire job won't just get automated or outsourced, that you won't have a major health crisis, and, this is the big one, that you're even still around to enjoy it. When you stack up all those variables, does that really sound like a safe bet to you?
And that, right there, is the big reveal. The real risk isn't going out on a limb and trying something different. No way. The single biggest gamble you can possibly take is just waiting around for 40 years, betting your one precious life that a million things you can't control will all fall into place just for you. That is the ultimate high-stakes gamble.
And what's the currency you're gambling with? It's time. Time is what this all costs. Just look at how this plays out. When you're 25, you've got tons of energy, you're willing to take risks, you've got options. Fast forward to 35, and that energy starts to dip, you can't handle the stress like you used to. By 45, your options start to feel like they're shrinking, and that whole freedom thing feels really far away.
The point is, the freedom you finally get at 65 is not the same thing you could have had at 35. You can't use money you get late in life to buy back the youth and energy you've already spent.
And you know what makes this whole thing even trickier? Our culture is constantly screaming at us to confuse actually being rich with just looking rich. See, real wealth, that's about freedom. It's about having assets that make money for you and most of all, having control over your own time. But looking rich, that's just a performance. It's a show for other people, usually paid for with debt. And all that does is create more stress, more pressure, and more payments, keeping you stuck on the exact hamster wheel you're desperately trying to get off of. Okay, so if the old way is a broken system, what do we do? Where do we go from here? Well, it all starts with a huge mindset shift. You have to stop thinking of wealth as something that just happens to you if you're patient enough, like winning the lottery. It's not. Wealth is something you build, like a house. It has to be designed, planned, and constructed, on purpose. Now, this next part might sting a little, but it's probably the most empowering thing you'll hear today. Wherever you are financially right now, it's not an accident. It's the direct result of the road you've been on. And if your situation is the result of a choice, even one you didn't realize you were making, that means you have the power to make a new choice. Your future isn't set in stone. You can literally decide right now to get off this path and start building a completely different one.
But here's the thing. You can't break out of a prison you don't even know you're in. The absolute first step before anything else is to just stop believing in the illusion. You have to see the system for what it really is, a bad trade. A trade of your one and only life for a simple maybe. You can't change a thing until you start questioning the very ground you're standing on.
And really, that's what this is all about. Because once you see it, once someone pulls back the curtain and you see how this whole slow wealth illusion actually works, you can't unsee it. It changes everything. It makes you look at your job, your savings, your whole daily grind completely differently. And it leaves you with a really personal and frankly, a really important question to answer for yourself. What road are you really on? And maybe even more important, where the heck is it actually going?
You know the drill, right? Go to school, land a good job, save up, and maybe, just maybe, you can retire in like 40 or 50 years. But what if that whole roadmap is just wrong? What if there's a totally different path, a financial fast lane that isn't about working harder, but about working way, way smarter? Okay, let's dive in and really explore this framework for breaking free from that old model. So let's just start with the one question that gets right to the heart of all this. Are you trapped trading your time for money? I mean, really think about it. Is your income directly tied to the hours you punch on a clock? If you stop working, does the money stop flowing? Look, that's the default setting for almost everyone, but it's a trap, and it puts a hard ceiling on your potential and your freedom. Today, we're going to talk about how to shatter that link. So to even understand the solution, we first have to get crystal clear on the problem. And the problem is what our source material here calls the slow lane. This is that conventional path, the one we're all told is the safe, responsible choice. But as we're about to see, that safety comes at a really steep price.
This slide just lays it all out. The two completely opposing philosophies. Over on the left, you've got the slow lane. This is where you're basically renting out your life in hourly chunks. Your wealth, it depends on other people, your boss, the stock market. And it's fundamentally chained to the clock. There are only 24 hours in a day. Now look at the right, the fast lane. It's a total paradigm shift. It's not about your time, it's about building systems that create wealth on their own.
Let's break down this whole lack of control thing, because in the slow lane, it's absolutely everywhere. Your boss, not you, decides your salary and your raise no matter how much value you bring. That 401k you're counting on, its value gets tossed around by a volatile market that you can't influence at all. The rules of the game, like taxes and regulations, are set by governments. And then there's the biggest constraint of all, time itself. You just cannot work more hours than exist in a day, which puts a hard, unbreachable ceiling on how much you can ever earn.
This passenger analogy just perfectly captures the feeling. Imagine you're on a bus. Sure, you can look out the window, maybe enjoy the view, but you have zero, and I mean zero, say in where this bus is actually going. The driver, who represents your boss, the economy, the market, is the one in charge. If they hit traffic, take a wrong turn, or just decide to pull over, you're just along for the ride. The slow lane is basically a life lived from the passenger seat.
So if the slow lane is the problem, how in the world do you get off the bus? Well, it doesn't start with some new business idea. It starts with a huge mental shift. You have to stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a producer. This right here is the absolute turning point, what we call the producer mindset shift. This quote is everything.
We hear it all the time, right? Follow your passion. But the stone-cold truth is, the market couldn't care less about your passion. It doesn't care about your dreams. What it has are problems, needs, pain points, things that aren't working well. And it pays really well for the solutions. Your passion is way more likely to follow your success and mastery, not the other way around. The producer mindset starts by looking outward for problems, not inward at your hobbies.
This simple switch in the question you ask yourself is the entire engine of the producer mindset. How can I earn more? That question keeps you stuck in the slow lane. It leads you to ask for a raise or work more overtime. You're still just trading time for money. But when you ask, how can I create more value? Everything changes. You start looking for needs, for ways to help people, for problems you can solve. And when you do that, money becomes a natural byproduct of the value you've created.
And this analogy just nails the long-term perspective. See, most people are consumers. They get their paycheck, their seeds, and they eat them right away. But a producer? They look at those seeds and see something completely different. They see the potential for a whole orchard. They're willing to do the tough, thankless work of planting and watering, investing their energy up front, because they know that one day that orchard is going to produce so much fruit they'll never have to worry about seeds ever again. It's all about delaying gratification for a massive payoff later.
Okay, so we've made the mindset shift. We're not consumers anymore, we're producers. Now for the nuts and bolts. How do you actually build that orchard? This section is all about the architecture, the actual mechanics of building a system that can create wealth on a massive scale.
And here it is, the core equation. Wealth isn't just about the value you provide. That's only half of it. The other crucial half is scale. How many people you can reach with that value. You could be the absolute best doctor in the world, but if you're only helping one patient at a time, your impact and your income is severely limited. The fast lane is all about multiplying your value through scale.
This analogy makes the idea of scale totally unforgettable. Think about a super talented stage actor. To get paid, they have to physically show up and perform night after night after night. Their reach is limited to the number of seats in that one single theater. That's labor. Now think about a filmmaker. They do the really hard work once. They create the movie. But that one piece of work can then be scaled almost infinitely, shown in thousands of theaters to millions of people, all at the exact same time. The filmmaker broke the link between their effort and their reach. That's the power of scale.
So how do you build your own movie? Well, it follows these pretty logical steps. First, find a need. What's a real problem out there you can solve? Second, build a system to solve it. This could be anything, a piece of software, an e-commerce store, a great piece of content, anything that isn't just you selling your hours. Third, you have to focus on scaling its reach. And fourth, the ultimate prize is that the system works to decouple your income from your time. The machine keeps working even when you aren't.
And this right here is the goal we're aiming for. A regular job is like carrying buckets of water. It's heavy, it's repetitive, and the second you stop carrying, the water stops flowing. A fast lane system is a pipeline. Now, building that pipeline is incredibly hard work up front, way harder than just carrying one bucket. But once it's built, that value flows continuously, whether you're standing there or not. This is the absolute essence of decoupling your time from your income.
All right, so we've covered the mindset and we've covered the mechanics. So now let's talk about the destination. What does all of this actually lead to? It leads to the ultimate prize of the fast lane, reclaiming total, absolute control over your life and your finances. It's about finally getting into the driver's seat.
Let's go back to our vehicle analogy for a minute. The slow lane made you a passenger on a bus you didn't control, remember? Well, the fast lane makes you the driver of your own car. You're the one holding the steering wheel. You control the gas pedal. If you see a roadblock up ahead, or a better route, you have the power to change direction, instantly. You are no longer at the mercy of somebody else's plan. You set your own destination and you navigate your own journey.
And this control, it's not some abstract idea, it's tangible. It means you own the thing you create, the business, the product, the code. It means you get to decide the price and how to make it better so you can adapt to the market. It means you build it from day one so that it can grow without demanding more of your personal hours. And when you add all that up, you get the ultimate freedom. The freedom to reclaim your time, which is your most valuable and most finite asset.
So the crucial point is this. It all boils down to these three pillars. You have to create real value by solving a real problem. You have to leverage scale to get that value out to a massive audience. And you have to maintain control over the whole process. When you get all three of those things working together, true financial freedom stops being a dream. It becomes an engineered outcome.
And that brings us right to our final reflective question for you. Take a hard look at how you earn your living right now. Are you building a pipeline, a system that can deliver value even without your direct effort? Or are you still just carrying buckets, trading your very finite time for a finite wage? The answer to that question really determines which road you're on.
All right, let's talk about something that hits home for a lot of entrepreneurs. We're going to dig into how you can go from the endless daily grind to building a business that actually gives you real freedom. You know, if you've ever felt trapped by the very thing you built to set yourself free, well, this one's definitely for you. So let's just start with a really tough question, a gut check question. Take a hard look at what you've built. Does it run when you're not there? Or are you the one who has to be there for everything, answering every call, putting out every fire? This is the one question that really separates a true business from what's basically just a high-stress job you've created for yourself. And man, this quote from our source material is just so powerful. So many people pour their heart and soul into their work, only to look up one day and realize they haven't escaped the 9-to-5 at all. Nope, they've just become their own really demanding boss, the one they can never, ever get away from. That's not freedom, that's a trap. Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start by really unpacking that self-employment trap. Then we'll get into why systems are the absolute key to scaling. After that, we'll break down the 3 pillars you need to literally replace yourself, then cover how marketing fuels that whole system. And finally, we're going to redefine the real goal here, fast freedom. First up, the self-employment trap. This is all about getting to the bottom of why that stuck feeling happens, even when you're supposed to be the one in charge. Just look at the difference here. It's night and day. On one side, you've got the classic service business where you are the business. Your income is directly tied to the hours you put in, which means your growth has a hard ceiling. But over on the right, you've got a system. It's designed to be separate from your time, to deliver value at a huge scale, and to create a predictable flow of income. It's a structure you build, not a hamster wheel you have to keep running.
And that brings us to the core solution, the big light bulb moment. It's about shifting your mindset from doing all the work yourself to building the machine that does the work. This is the leap from just being a service provider to becoming a true system architect.
I love this analogy because it makes it so clear. A service business, that's like walking to the well and carrying water back, one single bucket at a time. Your output is one-to-one with your effort. It's exhausting, right? But a system, oh, that's like designing and building the entire plumbing network for the whole town. Yeah, it's a lot of work up front, but once it's built, water flows to everyone, whether you're there to turn the crank or not.
So you're probably thinking, okay, I get it. I want the plumbing network, but how? How do you actually build it? Well, it doesn't happen by accident. It's a very deliberate, strategic process. And this next part is the blueprint for literally designing yourself out of the day-to-day grind.
And it all comes down to this core concept, designing for absence. Your goal isn't to be the hero who swoops in and saves the day. No, your goal is to make yourself replaceable. The faster you can remove yourself from the daily operations, the faster you get to that real freedom we're talking about. And you get there with 3 really powerful pillars. First, processes. Replace your memory. You have to document everything. Create playbooks, get the business out of your head and onto paper so anyone can do it. Second, automation replaces repetition. You use technology to handle all that tedious grunt work that just eats up your time. And third, people replace the owner. You hire smart people strategically to take over the very roles you used to have to do yourself.
You know, think of it like building a fully automated factory. Your processes, those are the architectural blueprints. Your automation, that's all the machinery and the robotics doing the heavy lifting 24/7. And your people, they're the skilled technicians who keep the whole system running smoothly. And you, the owner, you're not on the assembly line anymore. You're in the design studio dreaming up what's next.
Okay, so you've built this incredible self-running engine. Now what? Well, you've got to put fuel in it. This is where your job changes completely. You stop being an operator and you become a promoter. You get to focus on the single highest leverage activity there is, marketing.
The best way to think about it is this. If your business system is this amazing high-performance engine, then your marketing is the fuel pump. It doesn't matter how perfect that engine is. Without a steady supply of fuel, it's just a very expensive paperweight. It's going nowhere.
And that fuel is a constant flow of customers. And we're not talking about that annoying, pushy kind of marketing. This is about clearly communicating how your solution makes people's lives better. It's about making something genuinely useful and making sure the right people can find it. Because the best system in the world is useless if nobody knows it exists. And the best part?
It scales right alongside your system without causing everything to fall apart.
So, this brings us to the final and maybe most important part. This is where it all comes together. We've built the system, we're fueling it with marketing. But what for? What's the real end game? What have we been working towards this whole time?
It all starts with this huge shift in your identity. As the owner, you have to transition from being the person who does everything to the person who designs everything. You go from rowing the boat as hard as you can to being the captain on the bridge, charting the course.
And yeah, the predictable income, the money that flows in from the system, that's all fantastic. It's an incredible result of building this thing. But believe it or not, the money itself isn't the final prize. It's just a tool. It's a means to an end.
The real goal is this: fast freedom. The freedom of choice, the freedom to decide when you work, what you work on, and, most importantly, how you live your life. It's about owning your time, which is the only asset in the world you can never, ever get back. That right there, that's the true return on investment for becoming an architect.
So I want you to forget the hustle for just a minute and start thinking like an architect. Look at your business, your idea, your passion, and ask yourself this one simple question. What system will you architect to build your own freedom?
I hope you found this video enjoyable and informative. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more amazing content just like this.